So Marvel Rivals has been out for about a month and is considered Overwatch's closest competitor at this point, and I gotta say, it's not looking good for Overwatch right now, and it's really concerning that they're not really doing much about it. Now, I would say Overwatch has been on a huge decline for years at this point because they have disappointed a large portion of the community time and time again. For example, they canceled the highly anticipated PvE mode, they usually don't balance the game in a way that makes sense, and the purpose of Overwatch 2 doesn't really matter anymore since they are bringing back all the old features from Overwatch 1. And I could go on and on and on about Overwatch's failures, but they have always been in an okay place since they never really had a true direct competitor. Now, there are some games that are technically hero shooters like Apex Legends, Valorant, Team Fortress 2, and Paladins, but they were either considered too different or not close enough to give the same feeling of playing Overwatch. But this is where Marvel Rivals come in. The game hit 10 million players in a matter of 3 days, and it feels very identical to Overwatch, and honestly, it feels like more of an Overwatch sequel than Overwatch 2 does. The game launched with 33 heroes, which is insane while comparing it to Overwatch that has been out for 9 years with 42 heroes, and while being similar to Overwatch, it still came out with cool mechanics like team-up abilities and destructible environments to set itself apart from Overwatch. The game is also in third person instead of first person, so you can actually see your skin while playing the game, which makes buying cosmetics a lot more worth it. And the game also has hero bans, a feature Overwatch has had a problem with adding for years now. Marvel Rivals is also avoiding following the footsteps of Overwatch, and I believe that this is a good thing. There has been a lot of arguments saying if Marvel Rivals should have role queue in the game like Overwatch does, but I'm happy to see that the Marvel Rival devs put their foot down and said no to role queue. Having role queue in the game would have killed the queue times and most of the creativity in Marvel Rivals, and I'm just happy to see that they decided to go the opposite direction of Overwatch. Marvel Rivals also feels a lot more casual than Overwatch 2 does. This means that they're not afraid to have fun and limit themselves on what kind of heroes they can add, because one thing I could say about Marvel Rival heroes, they all feel a tiny bit broken, but they kind of balance the game in a way where if everything is broken, nothing is really broken, and I'm really enjoying the chaos of Marvel Rivals a lot because it feels very fun this way. Also, I love the presentation on Marvel Rivals. Everything is so animated and interactable, from the maps to the characters. The game has a great art style, sound design, music, and the game feels very rewarding to play. Now, I'm really happy to see the success of Marvel Rivals because this could potentially mean that Overwatch will start trying, because honestly, they have been way too comfortable for way too long. But the thing is about Marvel Rivals versus Overwatch, I can't imagine a world where Marvel Rivals 100% kills Overwatch, mainly because I think Overwatch's player base is way too loyal to ever let that happen. But it does feel like the Overwatch player base is in a slow decline, or at the very least feel very stagnant, because they are not really gaining new players due to Overwatch's horrible reputation. You can clearly see this when comparing the Steam charts between Marvel Rivals and Overwatch. Overwatch is currently hovering around 18,000 players while Marvel Rivals is hovering around 300,000 players. And I know what people are gonna say, Overwatch is on different platforms so this shouldn't matter, but so is Marvel Rivals. Marvel Rivals is on PS5, Xbox, Steam, and Epic Games, so if they were carrying around 300,000 players on Steam, imagine the number we could see combined with the other platforms. But at the moment, Overwatch really isn't doing anything to compete with Marvel Rivals. Overwatch 2 is currently on Season 14 where they dropped the newest character Hazard, and I'm not sure if everyone feels the same way, but he feels very boring to me. His gameplay is cool, but everything else about him, like his design, his personality, his lore, his name, I just didn't really care about this guy at all. The newest battle pass is really cool and they have a great mythic skin, but there's nothing really new going on in Overwatch that's not cosmetic related. They were even half-assing most of the cosmetics in the game by adding a bunch of recolors, which honestly makes them look really lazy. And for a while they've been relying on nostalgia and recycling old content, and they are still doing this by bringing back 6v6. And don't get me wrong, bringing back 6v6 is cool, but what was even the point of making the game 5v5 if we're just gonna bring back 6v6? Right now it feels like Overwatch is spending more time re-adding lost features from Overwatch 1 rather than focusing on new features to improve the game. Now, let's compare Season 14 of Overwatch to the things they have added to Season 1 of Marvel Rivals. Marvel Rivals added 3 new maps, 1 new game mode, 4 new heroes, a new battle pass with 10 new skins, a new rank in competitive, and a streamer mode. Now, my only concern is if Marvel Rivals can actually stay consistent with the amount of content they're adding for each season, because let's be honest, for what they're adding in Season 1, that's a lot. And keep in mind, Overwatch adds about 3 to 4 maps and heroes a year, and Marvel Rivals is doing that in one singular season. Like, that shit is fucking insane. And the funniest part about this whole entire situation, even if Marvel Rivals start cutting back on half the content in future seasons, they are still adding way more content than Overwatch is. Another thing I noticed is that Marvel Rivals is not only stealing Overwatch players, but they are also stealing all of the well-known Overwatch content creators. And I think this is mainly because there really isn't anything notable going on in Overwatch right now. Everything just kind of feels stale and boring in Overwatch, while everything constantly feels new, fresh, and exciting in Marvel Rivals. And don't get me wrong, I don't believe Marvel Rivals is a perfect game, and I do believe there are some things that Overwatch does that is better. For example, I believe Overwatch is a lot more optimized than Marvel Rivals, but it still doesn't change the fact that both of these games are basically competing for similar player bases, and Marvel Rivals is doing a better job of communicating and adding content to keep the player base happy. Meanwhile, Overwatch is kinda dancing around the thought of adding old features back, which is killing all of their momentum. At the end of the day, I'm just really happy to see that Overwatch finally has some worthy competition, but I just hope to see that these games can bring the best out of each other in the future. I just need Overwatch to start putting in way more effort into their game, and I need Marvel Rivals to stay consistent with putting in amazing content. Anyway, that's all you're getting from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in another one.